Bienvenue à les Affaires Brassicoles, votre balado sur l'entrepreneuriat brassicole du Québec, avec Leonardo Calcagno de Baron Mag.
Bonjour tout le monde, ici Leonardo Calcagno des Affaires Brassicoles. J'espère que vous allez bien et que vous ne paniquez pas trop de ce qui se passe avec Trump et les 25%. Comme vous savez, plein de choses qui arrivent. Baron Mag a mis en place une section en ligne pour faire le suivi de ça. Mais le but vraiment, comprendre toutes les problématiques qui existent, tout ça. Puis bien sûr, on veut parler avec tout le monde pour comprendre un petit peu la complexité de tout ça. Il y a plein d'articles qui s'en viennent, il y a plein d'entrevues qui s'en viennent là-dessus. Ça, il ne faut pas paniquer pour l'instant, mais on va continuer à suivre ce qui se passe. Puis bien sûr, bonnement, comme média, nous autres aussi, il y a des affaires qu'on ne comprend pas là-dedans, puis on a besoin de savoir ce qui se passe. Merci à tout le monde de continuer à écouter les Affaires Brassicoles. On a eu un bon feedback pour les articles qu'on a faits avec Buckhill. Le monde a beaucoup aimé Buckhill. Nous aussi, on a bien hâte de voir la suite. Aujourd'hui, nous autres, on va commencer une entrevue avec Will Connetz. C'est le general manager ou le DG de Hubs Connect Canada. Vous le connaissez, c'est une compagnie qui vend du doublon aussi, ils vendent d'autres projets, mais ils sont très concentrés au doublon. Ils sont une compagnie canadienne, basée au Canada, Vancouver, puis à Montréal. Ils sont basés au Québec avec des partenaires locaux. Puis les autres, depuis tout le temps, le but, c'est avoir l'expertise au Canada, le monde puisse payer au Canada, faire la distribution à travers le Canada, tout ça. Puis bien sûr, c'est une des compagnies qui a beaucoup de monde demandé des questions, savoir est-ce que ça a affecté toutes ces affaires qui s'en viennent, parce que, number one, le houblon, pas tout le houblon vient du Canada. Le gros parti vient des États-Unis, puis un peu de l'Europe, un peu de Nouvelle-Zélande, tout ça. Puis on voulait parler avec Will, comprendre un petit peu de qu'est-ce qui se passe dans les industries, qu'est-ce qui se passe avec eux autres. Ils ont fait un effort, eux autres, de parler avec tout le monde avec un courriel qu'ils ont envoyé à l'industrie pour qu'ils comprennent qu'est-ce qui se passe ici. Mais j'ai eu beaucoup de courriels, beaucoup de demandes de savoir si je pouvais parler avec Will, puis d'autres compagnies doublons au Canada pour comprendre un peu ce qui se passe. Il nous parle de Vancouver. Il nous parle en anglais. Puis, how are you, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Fine, Vancouver, man. Looks nice, man, because here it's snowing, man.
We have a full week bout of snow. If for all the Quebec listeners out there, you're probably going to laugh, but our city is a bit paralyzed right now. We've had it's been -5 all week, which is very cold for Vancouver, and we've had snow all week. So we're enduring the winter. It's beautiful though. After a very dry January, so no, it's good. Everything's good out here.
You guys are like complaining like people from Paris with snow, man.
I know. You hear on the radio in the morning driving to work and stuff. People are like, "Oh, I can't go outside. It's too cold. I can't go for my nightly walk. It's -3." So, yes, we are a little softer with the cold out here on the West Coast, but
that's what happens, man. So, Will, let's jump on it because I've been getting a lot of emails from producers, as you know, as we started. There's a 25% tariff. It says it's going to be maybe in a month, stuff like that. And there's a big problem here in the industry in Quebec and in Canada, across Canada, is that people, like as you know, it's been 2 years now. It's very hard in the industry. People are losing 35% of their business and sales, stuff like that. Some people are doing good, some people are doing bad. And for sure, with the tariffs coming down, maybe next month, but we always have to be careful with that. People have been asking me what companies like you are doing, suppliers. So the idea of this is to do a couple of interviews with suppliers to understand what's happening, how they can talk with you guys, how they can maybe plan for the future. Because as you know, what business hate the most is not knowing what's happening. That's one of the big things. The good thing about you guys is like you guys sent an email like maybe a week ago, explaining your what's happening right now. You guys are going to be there for the industry, Canadian money, right like that. So what's happening with you guys right now, and what kind of feeling are you getting right now from the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just address your first kind of point there. You spoke about a couple tough years for craft breweries, Quebec craft breweries. Some breweries you mentioned losing 35% of their business and everything. I think in what I hope stays from the situation that is happening with our trade war and south of the border is this amazing buy local, buy Canadian company movement. I was at the grocery store with my wife this week, and I saw half the people in the store with their iPhone out, looking at the back of packaging on the ketchup, on the cereal, and this sort of thing. So bringing that back to breweries, this movement of, alcohol has been such a flashpoint too in this whole conversation. Government's talking about taking American booze off the shelf. What an amazing opportunity, and I just hope that our country as a whole gets behind all these local craft breweries and buys Canadian beer, and not Canadian produced beer, because there's a lot of macro loggers that are produced in Canada. They're not owned in Canada, but Canadian produced and Canadian owned beer. So that's kind of my point about what we hope for, and what we hope for our customers, and what we hope your consumers do. From a hops perspective, this has been something we've been keeping a very close eye on kind of since November. And then in December, obviously the rhetoric from the US President Donald Trump just kind of kept up in the ante about 51st state, Canada, tariffs, all these things just kind of kept up in the ante. And, it was amazing to watch Canadians kind of just every time it was said, just get a little bit more emboldening, a little bit more upset, which is fantastic to see. And things really ramped up last week when it seemed like they were going to happen, and Trump came out and said they were 100% going to happen. So in the month of December and the month of January, we've been actually diligently stocking a lot more our American hops, if you will. We do sell a significant amount of our product from American farms. We also sell large amounts of hops from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand, from Europe. So we're really like a global hop supplier with over 85 varieties from, I think it's over 10 countries now, on 3 continents. So yes, American hops are very popular, and this has been something we've been keeping a close eye on. So for the last couple of months, as this rhetoric is kind of scaled up in December and January, we've been diligent of stocking and just making sure that we have a lot more product of the fresh crop in our warehouses. We have a warehouse in Montreal, one just west of Toronto, and then one in Vancouver. So we've been placing inventory throughout those. This has come at an interesting time as the harvest for hops in North America is during September. And that doesn't mean that those hops are available in September. They have to be pelletized and packaged. And that is a bottleneck in the hop industry, is the pellet plant. You have all these farms scattered across an area, and oftentimes 1, 2, maybe 3 pellet plants that all the hops have to flow into. So there are still some 2024 crop US hops, for example, that are not pelletized and packaged. We're at the tail end of that, but that's added some complexity to making sure that we have all the products in Canada. So that's been a core focus for us for the past couple months. Stockpiling inventory if tariffs do last 3, 4, 5 months. Trying to make sure we have enough stock that it would be quite a while before brewers had to see any sort of price increase from tariffs on American hops. Yeah, when we, I think it was Sunday. What was that? Sunday, 5 days ago.
Yeah.
The date for me there, Leo. I think it was the 20. What was it? Sunday the 2nd, February 2nd, right?
Yeah.
The Canadian government came out in response with their list of over 1,000 products, right? And said that they were going to have retaliatory tariffs on. This was a little bit of a surprise, as for like the month of January, the whole talk was Florida orange juice, Kentucky bourbon, U.S. steel, these sort of things, like these sort of big industries that are particularly in red states. So when Canada came up with 1,000 products, it was a quick open of the laptop on Sunday night, Command F, type in the word hops, and hops did not make the list, as many people know. But the message from the Canadian government was, okay, here's our retaliatory tariffs. If you do not back down, USA, I think it was around February 20th, 18 to 20 days, we're going to add more to the list and bring more heat to the situation. So as I sat there and I read the products that were over like 1,000 products, it was very wide. It was a wide swath of products from like meat to fruit to all these things. And as I kind of reflected on this, it was my belief that hops could very well make that February 20th list. As when you're trying to move as fast as you have to in this situation as the Canadian government, and you look at the commodities list and you get down to the H and you look at hops, you don't have a ton of time to make this decision. You're trying to do 1,000 products in a matter of a week. It'd be my belief that the Canadian government would go, okay, hops, it looks like 40-50% of the hops coming into Canada are coming from the US. That's a big number. Check. Can you make beer with, do other parts of the world grow hops? Yes. Europe, Germany, Czech Republic, Australia, New Zealand. Canada is a very small industry that could support to a certain extent. Yeah, you can still make craft beer. So our craft breweries wouldn't have to close their doors. Check, let's put hops on the list. Now that's just speculation in my opinion. So Monday morning was February 3rd was a very wild morning in terms of it was on, right? It was happening at midnight Monday night. We had a lot of customers calling us saying, look, like the way a lot of hop contracts work is it differs from company to company, but there'll be a period of time when you can, if you sign a hop contract, a period of time for which you can call off those hops. And we're, in terms of US hops, we're on the very, very early stages of that cycle, maybe a couple months in, on a 6 to 12 month contract with brewers. So brewers were, asking very good questions, saying, well, maybe I need 6 months of my hops right now.
Yeah.
But not every brewery's in that situation that they can pay for that. So it just created this absolute chaos, and almost reminded me of that panic buying period in COVID, when people had toilet paper stacked to the roof and all of that. So everyone was making, adjustments. Hops were not on this list. A lot of products weren't on that list. So if you then look at the trucking industry, okay, I have 3 weeks to get hops into Canada, let's say, or a commodity that's not on that list, and maybe it will be in 3 weeks. Trucking companies were fielding a ton of inquiries, like, I need a full truck up here now. At the same time, a ton of Canadian companies were canceling their trucks going south into the US. So a very wild week so far, but the threat still exists. 30 days from what is that, February 3rd would put us probably around March 5th or something.
Kind of like they took the plus, we have like the shortest month, man,
And exactly. Exactly. So so basically it's bought, I guess, everybody 30 days. I think the word I would describe for what I feel going on down in the US is unpredictability. So who knows if this is going to take us right to March 4th at 11 p.m. again, and there's this whole situation over again. But we're trying to focus on what we can control, and what we can control is making sure that we have our product that will support our Canadian craft breweries for a significant period of time if there is tariffs imposed.
So how long do you have, like, can you keep up this price for how long? 6 more months?
I would say, so the problem, I would say, of the roughly 40 different varieties from the US, and again, we carry about 90 varieties, 85 varieties or so. The 40 varieties, some will last much longer than others, right? Some of those varieties are used by 1-2 brewers across the country, right? So, and some are used by 95% of the brewers across the country, right? So it'll vary from variety to variety. But if tariffs were imposed, I guess to answer your question, if tariffs were imposed today on hops, we would be able to on the bulk of our core varieties, support breweries for 4 to 6 months.
Okay, that's a
The
lot.
thing is, breweries would have to and would be wise to be flexible and be flexible on maybe crop year, be flexible on maybe variety substitutions throughout that period. But we've put ourselves in a position that is not an easy place to put yourself in. It requires a lot of investment in inventory and these sort of things to make sure that there's a smooth situation for our brewers.
The thing is this, man. When we've seen this kind of trade wars before in other places. I remember Japan, Korea had this trade wars. I remember there was this big problem. A lot of Asia has a big problem. And the price of rice, the price of coffee in Vietnam went up very fast, and now we're getting this right now. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and sometimes it affects the whole system for a long time. Right now, for sure, we don't know what's happening, what's going to happen. And that's what it is, But I think is this: what kind of strategy you will give to people right now? Say, look, we don't know what's happening. Maybe it's going to happen. We might something like that. Is it time for you guys to maybe talk with your clients or maybe brewers to start thinking, maybe check out, is it worth to do all that kind of beer right now, all those hectoliters? Do you change, you might start changing, working on your Excel sheet and say, look, you don't sell like that much beer of this X beer. Maybe it's the wise to do something else. What kind of strategy you will tell people right now? Because I know there's a way to make money. You have to produce volume to make that kind of money, to make sure the pricing goes up. We'll have a good pricing. But for people that you can see the market right now, it's like, I know in different markets and trade wars, there's always stuff to do. So what kind of strategy will give brewers right now to make sure that, let's say it goes after 6-8 months, but at the same time, it's a wake-up call to start thinking about our industry here all at the same time,
Yeah. I think there's only so much you can do. But my advice would be communicate with your hop supplier, communicate with your, I don't think malt will be very affected since we produce so much here in Canada. Communicate with your can supplier. In terms of a hops perspective, communicate with us. A lot of brewers right now obviously have their production schedule locked in for the next 6 whatever months. Share that with us. If we are your hop supplier, share that your needs for 6 months. It's not a binding agreement. You can just share with us and go, hey, this is what I need for 6 months. Do you have enough stock to support me for 6 months? And it's going to be a block by block approach. We need to take this approach with every single customer. You might have for the next 6 months, you produce a lot of one IPA, or you're producing a lot of your stout or something. We don't necessarily know that, right? We know your hop contract and we know the varieties in your hop contract for the year, but communicate with us of what varieties you need in heavy doses for the next 6 months. And we have the opportunity to make sure that that you're taken care of in that sense. If the trade war in your latter part of the question gets really ugly and tariffs are put on for many, many months, the fact of the matter is there's also another issue here with the US dollar where it is. Yeah. So regardless of tariffs, products from America are going to start becoming unaffordable in the sense of how high the US dollar is. It's come down a little bit in the past couple of days, but if you went down to the States right now and put your credit card into a credit card machine, it would hit your credit card at $1.45 probably. It's like you're going to Europe now, right? Yeah, so there's that situation as well. If you add 25% tariffs on top of that, products out of the States start becoming quite unaffordable. There are great hops and varieties from the US, but we also have 60% of our varieties from outside the US, including Canadian hops. We have a whole suite of about 25, 27 European varieties. Obviously, the European varieties are a bit different than American varieties. You're going to get more lagers and such out of the European varieties. But we have a whole suite of IPA producing varieties, if you will, from Australia, for example, right? That will most likely 100% be tariff-free coming into Canada, as we need all of our partners around the world, especially a Commonwealth country like Australia. So I think communication is absolutely key, and communication quickly. We do have customers out there, as I stated earlier, that are saying, right when these tariffs on the Monday were looking like they were going to fall into place by midnight, we had some well-capitalized breweries saying, okay, well, send me 9 months of my inventory. Okay, whoa. Not everyone can do that. That's unrealistic. But if you can just communicate to us to a certain extent of what you need, that's amazing. We'll take actions and have the stock for here ready for you when you need it. The second thing I would recommend is it would be flexibility, in terms of there might be a situation where it's just unaffordable to use that hop if with the high US dollar and tariffs in 6 months, let's say. So flexibility around our portfolio. Using an Australian hop, use a Canadian hop, use a European hop, use a New Zealand hop, kind of thing. And we have very high-end brewers from very big brewing companies and QC backgrounds and stuff that can help flavor match and help do a bunch of things to make sure your beer is still high quality and tastes amazing. And
you can do something like that. You can help out if they need to do stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can absolutely help out and offer a whole suite of substitutions, or get you to where if you had a certain hop you're using and now it's become unaffordable, we have many different ways to help the brewer at least get close to that aroma profile that they're looking for.
Look, last week I was driving around in Quebec to talk to a couple of brewers like that. I won't tell them the names, and they had the schedule a week before they had the schedule. When I got there, they asked me, "What can we change the schedule of beer?" That's what they told me. Like they really had schedule for 6 months, and when I get there, they told me, "Do you think we should move this, take out this?" And I was like, "Okay, you guys relax, man. People are worried. They're worried." There's one thing I'm doing an interview soon with a company in Spain. They're doing in hops, hydroponic hops inside.
Okay.
And it's a weird question, it's just a question for you guys because that's it, big company in Spain, kind of like Molson has invest a lot of money in that to do hops inside. Here in Canada, we have a lot of electricity, Quebec mostly, but we have a lot of electricity, stuff like that. Do Hop Connect or other companies are thinking about it on the long term to start doing more hop, maybe inside hops, hydroponic hops. Is it something that you guys thinking that at the end of the day, this is a wake up call and we should start maybe thinking about our future? Because we're members of the Commonwealth for sure. I mean, Australia, all those guys. At the same time, those guys, New Zealand is getting a lot of good credit for their hops. A lot of people are buying their hops right now. So right now, in the long term, do you think that it's something that helps connect? Maybe should maybe try to invest something like that, push some project that maybe more and more Canadians have hops that come here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've in terms of indoor hops, I know that there was some action going on in Colorado. I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe Boulder University, I think might have been. I'm probably incorrect there, but there was a university involved in Colorado was doing that, and I have heard of the situation in Spain. I'm not by no means an expert on what's going on there. It's still a very small situation and exploratory program. From what I understand about it, hops, like a lot of agricultural products, need an absolutely vast amount of acres. If you look at the U.S., there's 45,000 acres right now in the U.S. So to build, and maybe the idea is you can get more crops, more harvests in 1 year than just one outdoors. But I think the sheer investment in terms of having that many greenhouses is a bit of a blocker in terms of just how capitally intensive it would be.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of investing in Canada and having Canadian hop farms, so we were at the forefront of this many years ago in 2012 13, 14, our company developed the first ever proprietary patented hop in Canada, up in Pemberton, British Columbia, not far from where I am right now, just north of Whistler. If you don't know where Pemberton is, and this was a multi-year, 3-4 year process with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and we produce Sasquatch, and Sasquatch has been grown on 3 different farms across Canada, and originally in Pemberton, and then it moved down to a full production farm in the Fraser Valley, just outside of Vancouver, where there traditionally has been a lot of hops. The Yakima Valley was, the original Yakima Valley, if you will, was up in the Fraser Valley. And then some smart moves by the U.S. government gave some rebates to hop farmers, and a lot of them moved down to Yakima, where it's a lot more arid growing climate. So there is a rich history of growing hops in Canada. The industry went through some real wobbles in the Fraser Valley, kind of pre-COVID, 2018-19. It was, as everyone knows, a real boom in craft beer, a real boom in hops, and a lot of players entered the market, and some tough things happened. I'll leave it at that. Some bad actors, if you will, and we exited the Fraser Valley because of that, and we're now in Leamington, Ontario. So we have currently one grower, Redman Hops, in Leamington, Ontario. Leamington is famous for tomatoes, and it used to be a huge tobacco growing region. And obviously, with tobacco declining in terms of sales and need for acres and all that, hops have kind of have a very similar growing climate, and we've stepped in there with our partner in growing hops in Leamington. The difficulty, and I'd say the bottleneck in terms of like investment, is if you go down to any centralized hop growing areas around the world, that'd be the Hallertau in Germany, Yakima Valley in the US, down in Australia, in Victoria, where I'm actually going down in 2 weeks for hop harvest. I'm going to New Zealand as well. It's the picking facilities and the pellet plant. So you have these vast farms, often run. If you go to the Yakima Valley, there's 80 farmers with multiple farms, all these farms, but there's not 80 pellet plants or 80 picking facilities. The investment to put up a pellet plant is in the tens of millions of dollars. Okay. So oftentimes what you have is cooperative farms working together, independently owned, but using the same maybe drying facility, maybe, and or pellet plants. So where I'm getting at is you almost need or what the trend is worldwide is many hop farms in the general vicinity that can share harvesting equipment and therefore share that cost. Instead of one person paying for that whole pellet plant and trying to make their buck out of it every year, it's bared by 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, let's say, which makes it a lot more economical. So it's not as simple necessarily as even though the wealthiest hop farmers, still take this approach. So I guess that would be my answer. We are committed to Canadian hop farmers. We've worked with them every year of our company's history, and last year we donated a significant amount of money to the Canada Beer Cup and sponsored it, and we're the live stream sponsor, and we featured a Sasquatch Canadian hop category as the featured kind of competition category, and donated all the hops for the collab and the live stream and everything. So we are keen on the Canadian hop industry, and we hope that it continues to grow, and we'll be right there with it when it does.
Excellent. Well, before we go, what else do you like to say to our readers, to our brewers, everybody here in Quebec? What do you want to say?
I other than what I said about communication and just chatting with us and figuring out a plan and banding together, and anything that is thrown at the craft brewing community, I know that we'll get the industry will get through it, just in terms of our loyalty to each other and our support. I would say if I could leave one message is buy from Canadian companies. It has never been more important to buy from Canadian companies. We have a month here where a free month where if everybody stops buying American ketchup, cereal, these things that you can buy from Canadian companies, that will have a significant impact on the US, and it'll strengthen the country's bargaining position, and it'll strengthen everybody's pocketbooks, strengthen your neighbor's pocketbook, strengthen everything. So buy from Canadian companies, support each other, and go Canada.
Excellent. Go Canada. Well, thank you, Will. Hope you have a nice trip in New Zealand and Australia. Hope you have fun up there. New Zealand,
Awesome.
I know it's very fun, New Zealand, man.
Yeah, it's going to be great there for, we're going to Nelson, which is tip of the North Island. Big wine growing region, Sauvignon Blanc grapes, and then a big hop growing region. And then we're going to Victoria, which is you fly into Melbourne and then drive a couple hours north. And we're going to see our partner's brand new picking facility and pellet plant and everything that they've just built and commissioned. So it's going to be very cool.
If you have the chance in New Zealand, go to see Delinquent Winery.
Okay.
Old punk guys, very old punk guys with ton of tattoos, great wine. Very nice.
South Island? Is it on the South Island?
I think so. It's called Delinquent.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Well, thank you very much, Will.
Okay, thanks for your time. Thank you for having me.
You keep us updated with what's happening with after the month, whatever happens.
Absolutely. Okay, all the best.
Thanks. Merci tout le monde d'avoir écouté l'entrevue des Affaires Brassicoles. Comme vous savez, si vous avez des questions à Hub Connect, on va vous laisser l'information sur la balado. Puis, s'il vous plaît, abonnez-vous à Baron Pro. Comme vous savez, on a plein d'entrevues, plein d'articles qui s'en viennent, d'infolettes qui s'en viennent, je le promets, la semaine prochaine. Puis, bien sûr, ce podcast, ce balado, est commandité par Keg Management et Keg Management. Merci beaucoup tout le monde et à la prochaine.